Let's go to Colin in Philly. What's up, Colin?
Hey, Sam. How you doing today?
Good, man.
So wanted to talk to you about Cross.
Okay, let's
Um,
talk about it.
so big Cross guy, have been for a while, and I was just listening to Dave and Bully before this, and Dave made a comment about how Cross he doesn't feel that Cross really be given the opportunity. I would agree with that in the past, where if we're talking Final Testament, if we're talking when he first got brought up from NXT up to the main roster, there was no push, there was no any sense of momentum. Now it's different though. I truly hope I'm right about this. I think that this is all one big work. And what Bully was saying is that with all the talks about his contract coming up and everything else, which I fully agree with this point Bully made, he basically mentioned, why don't you do something where, okay, like a Ron Killing situation, oh, we regret to inform you, Cross has been released from his contract. Then have Cross show up in the parking lot or something every single week, because we've had Cross using social media for months now. Guys like him and Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul have used it very effectively. Cross and McIntyre obviously being the wrestler side of it, more so than social media. But he's got this whole book thing. He does this podcast every week. He's been using the social media for a while now, and
Yeah.
it's what's really been bringing this momentum and this force behind him in the crowd, where I don't know if anyone's talked about it yet or anything else, but on the post show for SummerSlam, they weren't chanting, "We want Brock." They were chanting, "We want Cross."
So,
And I don't know if that's like a nod of Triple H trying to keep the work or if he generally heard him wrong, but
okay. So there's a lot to talk about. Thank you, Colin, because you're right. We're all talking about this all over the internet. They're saying Cross's contract is coming up very, very soon. And there's a lot of speculation as to what's going to happen and where he's going to go and all this stuff and whether he's going to get re-signed or not by WWE. I think you bring up a lot of good points. Like, I would imagine that the R-Truth situation does bring this sense of awareness that, like, fans, and they never have. I mean, it wasn't exactly a surprise, but this idea that if people are gone and they have fan support, the fans aren't going to roll over easily. They're going to remind you that they want this guy. Now, there was this clip going around of fans chanting, "We want Cross" during the post show of SummerSlam while Triple H was on stage with the panel. And he took it as "We want Brock," not "We want Cross." And there are some highly speculative people that are going, that was Triple H pretending that he didn't hear. So listen to this clip.
You have him. You've got him. Yeah, you want Brock, you've got him. So
Okay, so two things there, okay? Number one, the more times you listen to it, there's a good, first of all, and this is getting technical, but when you're on those panels, you have earplugs in your ears. You have earplugs in your ears that kind of make the crowd more quiet and allows you to hear the control room, or allows you to tell you wrap it up, the instructions. And it's a lot of times with those things, it's in both ears, not just one ear, because the crowd gets so loud that you wouldn't hear it if it was just in one ear. I think that there's a very good and Cross and Brock sound alike. That like the idea that Triple H thought they were saying "We want Brock" instead of "We want Cross," I think is very likely, especially that this happened right after Brock. Also, if you listen to the clip, the person who says "You got him," you can go back to it. And by the way, I believe I've confirmed this. It's not Triple H saying "You've got him," and then Triple H again saying, "Yeah, you want him, you got him." It's Rosenberg saying "You got him." Like, listen again. The first "You got him" is the incredible broadcaster from Fridays here on Pro Wrestling Nation, Peter Rosenberg. Listen.
you have him. You've got him.
You have him is Rosenberg saying that, right? So you're hearing the fans chant something that could be Cross, could be Brock, could be whatever. And Rosenberg says, "You have him." And Triple H goes, "Oh, I guess they're saying "We want Brock." "Oh, yeah, you got him. Brock came back tonight, blah, blah, blah." I don't think that there's any more to this specific clip than that. That's not to say this isn't a topic, and Karrion Kross coming back or not coming back isn't a topic. But that clip right there, the fact that when you're sitting at the panel, you have your ears plugged. You have somebody else talking to you in them half the time. You hear the crowd muffled as it is. And Rosenberg was the one that says you have him. And by the way, Rosenberg's not in on a ruse here. Rosenberg also heard we want Brock. So the fact that Rosenberg heard that, responded to it, and then Triple H heard what Rosenberg heard and heard Rosenberg respond to it is where I go, okay, I've watched this clip many times, obviously. And I go, the most likely scenario there, if we're not being conspiratorial, if we're being conspiratorial, then we can have a great time with it. I have no problem with it. But if we're just being logical, which is where I tend to land, I would say that there's a better than likely chance that it was just, an honest, in that moment, mishearing of the audience. In terms of where they're going to go with Karrion Kross, I mean, I have no idea. But look, as far as opportunities and stuff like that go, it would be difficult for me to believe that they put him in a singles match on 2 pay-per-views in a row, one in a stadium. They did not have to put Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross on the PLE. They could have done that the Raw after SummerSlam. They could have done it a week ago. They could have easily, I would say that the story between Kross and Sami is not that different in terms of levels to where it lands on the card than the story of Aleister Black and Damian Priest. That slot on the card could have been Priest and Aleister Black. And if you're just writing Karrion Kross off, you could have done that on Monday Night Raw if you wanted to. You didn't need to put as big a spotlight on it as you did. They also spent a ton of time on the pre-show promoting Kross's book. They did a whole segment on the pre-show promoting Karrion Kross's book. So the idea that he's going to have a whole story going into SummerSlam and everything, and then he'll just be gone. Like, if they didn't want people to root for Karrion Kross, then why would they make him so public only to then silence everything? So for me, I'm not biting my nails over this one. I'm waiting to see how this one pans out. You know what I mean? I think that there's a lot pointing in the direction of WWE is very aware of how much we appreciate Karrion Kross right now. WWE is not, they literally added his shirts to the in-arena merch booths because they were selling so well. Consistently coming off of WrestleMania, they were in that top 5 merch seller. So, I don't know. With all things considered, I am very much in the camp of let's just wait and see where this Karrion Kross thing lands. We will be here to react to it if it goes one way or the other. But I am, and people, of course he is. He's a shill. Whatever. You think, what? I'm in the let them cook phase with Karrion Kross. Could be that they go, you know what? Nah, we're done. And I go, okay. You probably could have done that more quietly than putting him on the pay-per-view. But it could also be, no, we're doing this, we're doing that. And it did, to lend theory to the conspiratorial nature of it, it did clearly end the story with Sami Zayn. They had a clean ending on that story. And by the way, Sami Zayn should have won that match. It's a story of a good guy versus a bad guy. And the long-term story of Sami Zayn is a quest to get back the World Heavyweight Championship. So the idea that Sami wins, which, by the way, he's lost to Karrion Kross. He lost to Karrion Kross the last time they wrestled. So the idea that this time Sami wins, and he does it without using the lead pipe, which means Kross was wrong about Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is a good person, and being a good person, he's going to be on a quest to win that World Heavyweight Championship. That's the story of Sami Zayn, and that's the sort of long-form story that's been told with Sami Zayn. So there's nothing about the way that match went that really shocked me whatsoever, if we're paying attention to the stories that are being told. But it would... If it was like, this is how we say goodbye to Karrion Kross altogether, yes, that would surprise me based on the amount of attention that Karrion Kross got, at the show, going into the show, everything about it. It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem logical to me. Joe in Pennsylvania.
Hey, Sam, thanks for taking my call. Just wanted to say real quick, I too want to talk about Kross, but phenomenal weekend, Friday at the mall. SummerSlam, everything was great, man. Last night I wish I could have been there in Brooklyn. Phenomenal show last night.
Yeah.
Quick flowers to Roxanne. Roxanne, I'll tell you what, for being the smallest girl, she was unbelievable in that match against 2 Hall of Famers. and Raquel's great. I thought she stole that show much like Michaels. She doesn't get enough props. I thought she was outstanding last night. But about Karrion Kross, I want to talk about. I think the WWE, there's, like, to me, 3 Hall of Fame manager valets. You got Sunshine and Garvin. You got obviously Macho Man. You got Beulah and Dreamer. 3 and I felt like with Mike Bennett and Maria, WWE really dropped the ball with them. And my concern is with Karrion Kross and Scarlett, they are so over. I'm just hoping they don't do the same that they did with Maria and Bennett, because Maria and Bennett, I was going to all the independent shows at the time. They were so over on the independents.
Well,
I'm just hoping.
There's a big difference, Joe, though, between being over on the independents and being over on WWE's television show. Like, the idea that you're going to have this act that is over on your television show, and there's nobody more aware of their own television show than the people making the television show. Like, again, logically, it's hard for me to believe that the move is now to be like, oh, okay, that, clearly the fans are responding to him already. Just the idea that he lost on a show, just the idea. Like, they're chanting, "We want Kross" at a SummerSlam where Kross was at SummerSlam. Like, he was wrestling at SummerSlam.
I was actually there when they were doing the chant. I was like, wow, man, he is really over. I couldn't believe it. That whole crowd was just erupting, saying that too.
Yeah, and you can't ignore that stuff. That's the real stuff. I mean, Triple H said it at the post show. He was like, this is what WWE is all about. It's not about sitting in a room and answering questions. It's about being here with these real fans. And that's what the real fans were saying. And we'll see. But I have a hard time believing that would just be ignored.